YouTube, we're gonna open this box right now. It's super dinky, as you can see. Oh my gosh. All right, here goes nothing, guys. All new from E-flite. It's gonna be amazing. You may have noticed from the description. All right, here goes nothing. Now, if the box is blank, don't worry, yours won't be blank, but ours will be. All right, here goes, guys. Gotta figure out how to open this so I can slide it out. This is one of the biggest boxes we've had in a while.
You mean to hold?
No.
Okay.
Oh, geez. Yeah, like I said, look.
Oh.
This one's white because it's an early sample, product development sample. Come on. Gosh, it's like a giant box of donuts. That would be amazing. All right. Okay, so what have we learned so far? If you need to open this in your kitchen, make sure it's big enough. All right, so what do we have here? We have a white unmarked box, and it's coming from E-flite. So if you were to guess by statistical analysis, you would probably already have it right. But that's okay. I gotta flip it over. Ooh, is there anything there?
Nope, it's still blank.
Oh, it's still blank. I hate it when they do that to me. All right, somebody in the comments section mentioned open both ends to make the vacuum pressure less. Granted, this isn't a brand new box, so it's probably not gonna have a huge vacuum on it anyway, but we're gonna try it. So that's why you come to Brian Phillips RC first, so we can teach you all the tips and tricks about opening your box. Okay, I see lots of foam. Surprisingly, it's an airplane and it's yellow. What?
Oh, it's yellow.
So cool, amazing.
I love yellow airplanes.
What do you guys think it is? Put it in the comments, timestamp it. We'll know if you cheated through analytics. Except we won't, because we don't care. Okay, so guys, this is a Super Timber 1.7. That's right, another Timber. But don't worry, you'll still like it and buy one anyway, because they're awesome. Now, that being said, the Super Timber 1.7, yours might be packaged slightly better than ours. But as you can see, we've got the status quo manual, which is pretty exciting. This thing has a few features on it that are different and new and exciting, and that would be up to and including removable slats, a 3-bladed prop. Now remember, this isn't a turbo timber because the turbo timber has a long nose. This is a super timber, okay? So because it's a super timber, it's got a little bit different body style. I don't know if you guys are gonna get your slats in the same packaging, but I can definitely tell you, I'm excited for slats. I like slats, and I gotta be super careful with mine. Okay, these are clip-on slats, fiber reinforced. Now, if you guys don't know what a leading edge slat or a slat is, there are slats is like a little wing that sits on the front of a wing, and it acts a little bit like a flap on an airplane. Now, this micro Draco has a simulated slat here, but on the real one, there's a slat and it lifts up off the wing and creates like a second wing. And so it creates an airfoil that shoots air over the top, and it helps to reduce the possibility of separation, which is also another way of saying a stall. Because when the air separates from the wing, you get a stall. So that's what it's supposed to help. It's supposed to create a laminar air effect there, which is pretty cool. So I love the fact that we get stuff like that, the aerodynamic details on these model airplanes. Now, you guys know on the 1.5 meter Timber, they have them even all the way down to the UMX, they have them, but they're glue on, okay? So this is gonna be the first time we have a removable slats. And that's really nice because that means if you guys have the desire to fly your plane without, which would be customary for those that might want to do a lot of 3D stuff, then you can do that now, which is really nice. And I gotta say, if you don't like doing 3D, don't worry, you don't have to do a bunch of 3D. Again, mine's packed a little different. White, yellow, and black. Okay, so beautiful, beautiful color. I'm super excited for this. I love a yellow plane, which is funny because I've always loved yellow planes. There's a yellow plane right there. There's a yellow plane right over there, a Waco and a T-28. I do love the red and white T-28 as well, guys. That's the Carbon Z T-28. Amazing plane, by the way. Man, they taped this up like so ridiculous. It's in one piece, but it's gonna take a little more doing than usual. Foam to protect the foam from the foam, which is what they do at Horizon. They're really good at packaging this stuff because they want to protect it getting to your front step because it's made a long round trip, let's say. But let's go ahead and just keep unpacking this. Whenever we get these early samples after the product development team is done doing their testing, it works really nice because then that leaves more for you guys to order, which is really nice, and we always like that. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. And as you can see, we've got this beautiful prop. Okay. So that is very interesting wrapping. Not sure why they were so concerned about that, but that's a pretty prop. It's kind of a different one. And it looks like we have a spinner adapter we're gonna have to mount. So that's unusual. I haven't seen that before. This is a really big plane, and we just want to stress that too and emphasize the fact that a 1.7 meter plane, we've explained this before a billion different times, but that huge one you see back there is a 2 meter. That's a balsa wood plane, and it's considerably more expensive, okay? So just remember, when you think balsa wood, think very much about longevity. It's gonna be around for a long time, and it's just gonna have a longer shelf life than most foamies, no matter how you slice it. But this is a 1.7, which may not seem like that much more. It's only 0.2 meters. It's only 200 millimeters bigger than the 1.5, right? Well, that's not the way it works. It's every direction it's bigger by a factor of X, okay? So when you're thinking about the size of planes, this is just really difficult to open, actually. Yours will not be as bad, by the way. When you're thinking about the size and scale of planes, it makes a huge difference. Going from a 1.2 to a 2 meter is gigantic, okay? It's darn near twice the size, okay? In fact, I think the F7F is a 1.7, but I was just thinking about what else was a 1.5 because the size scale difference is huge. Oh, by the way, okay, so horizontal stabilizer, plastic reinforced here, and then we have carbon fiber here. That's a vertical strip of carbon fiber. And then this one here looks like it's a fiberglass tube. And what I'll do is I'll hold it up to the lamp so you can see what I'm talking about there. You see the diagonal? That's the control surface. Goodness gracious. Wow. Look at the horizontal stab. It's like barely there. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful colors. I love it. So yeah. I love the yellow Waco. It's one of my favorite colors. And obviously we're Iowa Hawkeye fans because we live in Iowa and they are yellow and black or gold and black. And then of course white too. So that's pretty sweet. And I'm sure there's some other schools that use those colors, so it wouldn't be just our colors. All right, so we're just gonna take out the stuff that's kind of like weird right now. And that means the landing gear are also colored. Okay, so let's get, this is one of the areas that we have some big improvements. And also I need to just mention this. This is something that Horizon does well that some of the other companies don't. They listen. Look at that, guys.
Wow.
That is a handful. Give it a squeeze.
It is.
And it's not just, yours won't come pre-dirtied, by the way. But look at this, guys. We have an air valve here. Look at that. That air valve pulls out, and there's a little rubber piece that goes in, okay? Now, the cool thing is, now I'm trying to remember if that's the way it comes out of the box or if you have to buy this, hon. Do you remember?
I don't. We might have to check on that.
There's a pump
I
here.
think it's gonna come with it, I'm pretty sure.
So that's pretty sweet. That's like a legit pump. So we could like pump up our basketballs and stuff with this. So that's pretty sweet. I mean, we have Dubro tires that we've used before. Okay, so this comes with this whole apparatus, which is really nice. And that's like a genuine regular air filler. So that's pretty sweet. Okay, so we'll get that tightened in there. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Here,
it works.
well, watch this. Okay. And then of course you pull that out and put it in and ready to rock and roll. So that's really nice.
Cool.
Also, I'm just gonna say, these tires are drastically lighter than anything else on the market right now. And that's why I love them, because these things don't just work for this plane. And by the way, look at the detail. They've got those little screws on there, just like a real tender tire would. And they're glued onto there, I think. So this is an extremely light hub, and I'm super excited to see that. Also, we have the fairings, they're made of plastic. And look, screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so the fairings are actually what we call serviceable in the industry, which is kind of nice. There's a lot of things on planes that aren't serviceable anymore. And so it's really nice. See, this one's really low pressure. We need to put some air. In fact, let's put a little bit of air in there. Now, you can use a regular pressure gauge to check your pressure, but my suggestion is, if you're going to do this, okay?
Just gonna go by feel.
Yeah, you just go by feel, that's all you gotta do. Okay, so put a little bit in there and then pull it out. Yeah, just a little teeny bit of pressure. I don't like a lot of pressure on a Tundra tire because that's gonna give you that cool effect. Now is this one is more firm. So I think I'm gonna just go a little bit more. So that's pretty sweet that that is in here. Okay, so that's in all the way. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can actually measure this tire with a caliper or a pair of, in fact, that's a good idea. Why don't we do that right now? Because that will tell you how much pressure you want, or if you want to try to make them agree.
Yeah, because I think you have more in that one now.
Okay.
Than that first one.
So I've got
Just
my
by
calipers here. All right, so I'm just gonna open these calipers up, and I'm just gonna do the outside dimension. I think that'll do just as good. So 122.17. And then these ones, and then this one is almost exactly the same. I'm trying not to squish it to deflect it too much. 125 compared to, you wanna know what happens? We lost some pressure since it's came off of there, okay? You guys see what's going on? Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna go a little bit more until we get it where we want, and then I'm just gonna pull this out, and I think we're gonna be good, because it feels like it's got a bit of a check valve inside. So I can't tell if it's leaking. If it's leaking, I don't know. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, so we've got tire pressure now, as you can see, like an inner tube. So that is one of my biggest feature pack planes. One of my biggest excitement points is right there. Now, of course, inboard flaps, LEDs, all the normal stuff that you would expect on a Timber. Or is there LEDs on this?
I don't know.
I guess I don't know. Why did I just assume that? Because who knows? I would assume because on the 1.5 they had LEDs. They have LEDs on the big one, the 2 meter. And I know you guys want to see the wing, so let's just get the wing out next. Oh yeah, that looks super good. You want to see something cool here? First of all, inboard flap, outboard aileron, and huge. Yeah. Serviceable is the name of the game here. And then yeah, there's the LEDs. And by the way, that's a new LED design, cool. Mm-hmm. Looks like they pre-scratched it, so I won't feel bad about that. And then look, we have vortex generators. That's different. I didn't know we had vortex generators.
That's where the slats will clip in, right?
I guess. So these must come out one at a time, I guess. So we'll read that in the manual. And that looks like a Timber X-Wing. So you see how it goes out like that?
Oh.
That is a different design. So that's pretty sweet. So we'll see how that works. I'm gonna just lay this over here so I got backing under it. And then more foam to protect the foam from the foam. We'll come right back to that part actually. I'm gonna take out the joiners and all this. So guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we aim to please, but that doesn't mean that we're not gonna do the due diligence stuff, okay? So when you're buying an expensive plane, we understand that a big part of it is gonna come right back to, is there value there? Are you getting what you expect? And that's part of the reason why you're here watching Brian Phillips RC. It's not because, you know, you think I'm the best pilot, or you think I'm the funniest guy, or you think I have the best yard. any of those things. It's just, I know a lot of you are here just for the simple fact that you want to see if there's any value, and that's a lot of times why people watch Unbox build radio setups. And then also there is the, you know, I need some help getting a plane set up. And so if you're in that boat, okay, so I just want to talk about this bag. First of all, there's a wing joiner. This is going to be for the tail feathers. Yours is not going to be like this, folks. That's just the way they packed it back up. Okay, carbon fiber. I thought maybe there was a break in it, but it's just tape residue. So that's going to go between the tail feathers almost certainly, see? Because there's just not much there. Okay? And so then the carbon fiber that was absent, that's what I was concerned about. I couldn't tell if it was like a fiberglass tube. Oh. It's actually just an opening to hold the tail feathers together. Okay. Oh, by the way, high contrast up and down, that's nice. Unpainted surface on the bottom. I don't really care, some people do. It's not a thing for me, I don't care. But I just wanna point out right here, we have a lot of hardware in this bag, okay? This comes with hardware to adapt floats, but it does not come with floats, okay? There was just, like with anything else, there was price overruns, and so they basically did not include floats on this one. But you can get floats, and they are the regular popular sizing.
Yeah, the size like 15 or whatever, kind of the standard.
15 size, yep. Which, I don't know, is that the size that you get for the carbon Z-Cub?
I believe so.
Really? Okay. So as you can see, we've got high quality adaptive parts. We are gonna be using these, I believe. Look at that, feel this. That's legit, guys, look at that.
Oh, wow.
So that's a spring, feel it?
Nice.
And then we have a bag of screws here, okay? And so we've got that, and we've got this. And there should be something to join those together, which is right here. Okay, so the double hook adapter. Hopefully we don't need to do any welding, but just so you guys can see, they already did something for me. Okay, little weld, little weld. So that's gonna be sweet. Now, you guys may not know this about Brian Phillips RC if you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC. I'm Brian Phillips, big surprise. Megan is my wife. She's behind the camera. She's the camera crew. Look at this. What is that?
What is that?
I don't know. It's like clear. I don't know what the heck that is.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna find out. And then this is probably going to be for the water rudder assembly. So what I do when I have float equipment on a plane that I'm not equipped with floats yet is I find a place and I tuck it away and then I mark the equipment so that we can do it. Now, we're just gonna pause. I know you guys are probably freaking out like, get me the fuselage, I need to see you. Let's just come out here and look at something. Okay, first of all, there's a tripod there. That tripod's been out there for almost a year, feels like.
Yeah.
It is raining light right now. And what we're doing right now, if you didn't already know this about Brian Phillips RC, is we're building a little aerodrome here. That is a pond. That's a silt pond up here. And it's fed by the waterway that comes down there. And that is the pond that is currently filling up with water, as you can see. And that is the dam. It is not done, but it's close. Okay, that's all you get. But it's really cool because you can see water, and that water came from 4 days worth of rain. Mm-hmm. 4. So in case you were wondering, the floats are gonna be handy when that thing's done. In fact, we're kind of hoping we can get some flights on it before it's full because it's gonna be cool to have that low water level because it's gonna be up to the top. Where that drain is, that's where it's gonna go. And so it's gonna be really, really big. It's gonna be awesome. So anyway, back to the plane. So the floats obviously are not part of the included in this kit, but you can get them if you want and you can order them. We'll have links to them just like we do for everything else on Brian Phillips RC. Best way to support Brian Phillips RC if you want to support us is just buy the planes that you like. Obviously have Patreon and PayPal and all that stuff and super thanks. But really the best way to support us is you just buy these planes when you think they're awesome. And if you don't like these planes, don't buy them. Buy something you do like. But what's not to like about a timber? Okay, so really nice, big surfaces, real hinges, which is nice, serviceability, And everything is smooth. I don't see one of those little mold release thingies. I haven't seen one yet. Wow, none. I didn't even think about that. None, not even one. Here's some, right there. Here's some. Or those just air bubbles? Nope, those are little mold release bumpies.
Not very many of them.
Not very many of them. So I'm not sure how they get away with that. I mean, is it something that in the manufacturing process that I'm not privy to? But I can't wait. I love the colors, so I'm super excited about this plane. I love the timber, and anybody who's like, hey, another timber, well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, if it's a good plane, I want more of them, bring them on. I'm still waiting for the Carbon Z, but you know, I'm sure that's right around the corner. I mean, we already kind of have that with the SWS, which stands for Sport Wood. Wait.
Series.
Yeah, series. Okay. All right, here it comes, guys. You ready? So if you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC, we love unboxing planes for you, but I still think it's kind of weird doing unboxings until I get to the brand new, amazing, beautiful looking carbon fiber reinforced tails. Look at this. That is so gorgeous. It's actually squishy. Even the tail wheel is squishy. Squish it. Guys, I gotta love it.
Oh yeah, it is.
We have been complaining about rock hard tires forever, and we are finally starting to see not rock hard tires. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I have a stinchy suspicion that those are going to wear and tear badly because they have in the past because I back up on rough surfaces. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the look. Obviously it's gorgeous. We have carbon fiber tubes for the rods that go through here. Amazing. Ball link adapters. What is that? Oh, that's for when you put on the floats. So it can go back to the rudder and then jump down the leg and go to the water rudder, okay? So we are gonna get a plane stand. Oh, look at this. Evoke Studios, Studio Design, okay, whatever that is. Evidently we're supposed to know what that is. I have no clue. I'm sure it's like some amazing thing that I should have known. Kind of like F3A.
We know what that is now.
We know what it is now.
Is there a wing joiner that we should be looking for, or does it just clip in and then there's nothing that goes through?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna find it. I just hope we're not gonna find it in another UPS box. Can you move those leading edge slats for me? And I'm just gonna lay this down. I don't know if it's gonna sit still though. Yeah, it does. And we do have LED here. We have an LED here, beautiful, on the moving part of the rudder. And I'm just gonna point out something. I didn't have to put that in, AKA RGA Gritter 1.3.
You had to put the rudder in?
Yeah, we did not like that step.
We did not.
Okay, so it looks like there probably should be one, and I'm not sure where it is, so maybe it's inside the plane. Maybe that's where it is. So I'm popping the canopy. Ah, wow. They actually made a storage spot for it. That is so cool and smart because get this, guys. Look at the motor mount. There's some people that are gonna really like that motor mount. I personally never really had a huge problem with my motor mount on my timber except for the 1.5 where I ripped it out while I was flying.
Except that.
You literally have storage for this.
Wow.
Yeah, keep your hand on it.
Yeah.
That is a monster. Look at the thickness of the sidewall.
Crazy.
Guys, they put that inside so you don't get stopped for having a weapon because this thing is...
Oh, jeez.
You hear that?
Yeah.
I got a mic in here. Look at that, guys.
Super cool.
Wow.
Homemade.
So this is gonna be obviously carbon fiber and it's gonna be amazing. And it's, you know what? I'm just gonna stick it in the hole right now because I can't wait. Big, huge black rod. I gotta say, that's probably one of the closest, that's probably the second biggest wing joiner rod we've ever had. And the next one that we had beyond that is a 3-meter plane from the Fox.
Is that bigger than Draco?
I don't know. Draco does have a huge wing joiner now that you say that, but the 3-meter Fox is bigger.
Oh,
plane,
yeah.
A lot bigger plane. We were talking about size classes earlier.
Yep.
Okay, so that's everything in there. Whew, that was kind of a close one.
I was nervous there for a second.
I was also nervous. Okay, so you already saw the thing. You know the thing, guys. IC5, that's not the thing. Here it is, the battery tray. Why do we like battery trays? Because look at all the holes you can stick it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if that's not enough, folks, You can also move the battery on the tray itself, okay? So high quality, super strong straps. We got Velcro pad here, okay? These are adjustable and not glued. That's always nice. And the way this works is it's just kind of like, don't we have that in like the Carbon Z Cub?
Oh, that just pops down in there?
Yeah, and then there's a way to release it. So you press this and then it allows it to go forward. See that? It's got a tab right there.
Oh,
see
yeah,
that?
I see that.
So when this snaps down, it's snapped, and then you release and pull up, okay? So they've actually engineered that in, which is really nice. Now, obviously, the way that's gonna go is you'll put your battery in the tray, and you'll be able to feed it back wherever you want. Now, that is so nice. And by the way, if you guys don't know this, okay? The first Timber had a bottom loading battery, okay? And it's a water plane, okay? I mean, well, you didn't have to fly it on water, but it was a water plane, okay? That wasn't good. It was a pain in the butt. Somebody listened to us complain and they changed it, which I really appreciate. We don't oftentimes see that until second, third, fourth, fifth generation of planes. This is an all new plane. And by the way, look at this, pop this hatch. What do you got in there? AR637TA. And then look at that, all the servos going into that little joiner thing. That's all the LEDs, guys.
Oh.
That's the LED control module. And then look, we can even get to these. They have ball links on the front and the back. And there's a displacement for up and down here. You see this on the plastic? That is so good. Guys, that's the type of engineering you're gonna find in an E-flite plane that you're not gonna find in a competitive offering, okay? And I'm not saying there's not better planes than this particular plane, because there's always gonna be better than what we're reviewing. But in terms of ready, almost ready to fly, and not ARF, but bind and fly planes already beat most plug and flies, because you don't have to do near as much work to make them get in the air. But also, they've worked out a lot of the details. So if you're brand new to the hobby and you're like, hey, I'm coming back from a 20-year hiatus or 15-year or 10-year hiatus, none of my transmitters really do anything anymore, and I just want something I can get, open up the box, set it up, and just take the training wheels straight off and go back to town. But I'd like some security and make a good decision. This is the type of plane that will get you there, okay? We're gonna help you make good decisions on Brian Phillips RC. We want you to get the right plane for the right reason at the right time. And also, if you buy them from the links, you'll help support us, which is kind of handy, at least from our perspective. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this down on the plane stand. If you guys don't have a plane stand, we link to stuff like this also in our video description below. But if you're looking for something you can't find it, Brian Phillips RC is our resource to the RC community, which is our website, and you can find all sorts of information for all sorts of different planes, whether it's this or a competitive offering that you like that's similar. But really, there's so many Timbers, it's gonna take you like 3 or 4 weeks to go through all the offerings. Just kidding. We love the Timbers. Oh, and by the way, did you show them all the carbon fiber reinforcement around the openings and stuff?
No, I was looking at the plastic, but I see that
Look at
now.
the carbon fiber.
Yeah.
See that? Pretty awesome. And then look, there's actually room to where you could reach in here and go all the way back to this back. And there's most planes, they wouldn't even think about giving you this, nor would they think about having a magnetic tray that's got plastic attached to it so you dissipate the load onto this, which means that when you don't have a magnet that rips off, okay? Because that's one of the big problems you're gonna run into. Also, the LED is captured and held tightly, which is really nice. I am a little disappointed that that's not jigged and painted. That would have looked a lot nicer. But you know what, that's fine, because it's kind of got a little bit of a design scheme to it then. I love the way this plane looks. It's gorgeous. I love the colors. It just looks sweet. Oh, there's lights right here too. Look at that.
I was looking at that earlier, but I couldn't see.
Wait, are those lights? Those are totally lights. There's LED wires going down.
Yep.
So those must be landing lights. Oh, we have lights here and here too. And then that's a monster motor right there. Wow. So I wish I could tell you what it is. It is, oh, there it is. I can see it now. It's a Spectrum SPM 1003 or 1003. It's a 5055 500 kV 14 pole motor. So it's an SPM 1003 from Spectrum, okay? If you guys don't know how those numbers work out, the 5055 stands for the dimensions and the dimensions. So 50 millimeters deep, 55 millimeters wide, And then 500 kV stands for 500 rotations per volt, or some such thing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and start building this. Now, to be honest, this build should be pretty dang easy because it's literally designed to transport, and that's one of the reasons why we really like this plane. Plastic on plastic, look at this. Guys, plastic on plastic. See, that's not foam. So every contact point around the edge is plastic. And similar to what we talked about up here, when you go to put this on and off 400 times, you guys see that? That's where you're gonna mar your finish and you're gonna get that black crinkle. You're not gonna have that problem. And we have seen that more from Horizon lately. And I'm trying to think if the Draco, the Micro Draco, this one here has a weird opening on the top, but this one even might have that. By the way, this is an awesome plane. No, does this one have it? I don't think this one has it.
I'm trying to think of what that one was.
Maybe it's the RJ Gritter one. But either way, my son made this plane stand. It's pretty awesome, in case you were wondering. Hit us up if you want one. This is the way it should be, and I'm loving seeing it. And by the way, I just want to point out one other detail. This is something you can't see online when you're looking. We have really good color match here. It's maybe not like 100% perfect, but it's very close.
Very good.
Okay, over here I noticed just a tiny, and it might just be the way the light's hitting, but this is super well matched. We had a plane we did from a competitive offering just a few weeks ago, and I think it was a red. Ah, yes, it was a P-51, red Dago.
Oh,
Dago red. And the red did not match. The jigged paint didn't match the plastic very well. And we used to see that all the time, and now it's gotten to where you can't tell where the plastic meets up with the foam. I mean, they're getting it so good and so refined. And I remember there was another yellow plane that didn't have very good matching colors, and I can't think of it right now. But either way, if you're super picky about those things, that's one of those things I'll notice. It's not like a deal breaker for me. I really don't care that much, but I'll notice it, okay? And we try to point those things out even though we're not trying to make things difficult for these manufacturers, because after all, I want manufacturers to make planes. There's a million easier ways to make money than making RC airplanes. And this is just one of them, you know, is this plane is a great example of it would be easier to just do something else. But I am so glad that all these companies build these amazing creations for us. Okay, so that's gonna get screwed in there. And then this is gonna pivot, okay? So when that pivots, we're gonna have a connection point up here with a spring that goes to the spring connector. Also, I wanna talk about plastic right now. So when you know you have a wearing part, okay? I love the fact that, first of all, this yellow matches really good. I can't tell if it's painted though. This is the worst match on the whole plane, and I bet it's gonna glow. But I can live with that because it's really not that big a deal. What a beautiful plane.
It really
guys,
is.
getting into the details, look how small the LEDs are compared to the plane. I
know,
hope they're
they're so
bright,
crisp.
because when you get those small LEDs that are really bright, it looks great. Okay, so I don't want to screw up the landing gear, so we're gonna actually refer to the manual. I have to kind of cut this out, so we're gonna pause. You won't have to cut yours out. Mine came taped up because it was a product sample. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nut and bolt sacks. And then this stuff all goes with the floats, okay? Those are splash guards that are installed like 35 millimeters back from the leading edge of the float, okay? So we're gonna lay these aside for now with our bag of goodies that go with the landing gear, or not the landing gear, but the floats. So if you guys are new to the channel, like I said, there's a pond that we're building right now, and then when the pond is full, or sometime between now and then, we'll start flying off of there. Obviously the build isn't done. Now these bags are also probably gonna work for the floats too. So we're gonna take these ones. I just wanna show you what they look like so you don't have to reverse engineer this stuff, okay? Now when we do finally put floats on planes, we plan to probably do like Unbox build radio setup where we put them onto the planes for some planes. And then other planes, we're just gonna put them on because they will have already been built for another plane and we're just sharing them. Full disclosure, just so you guys don't get left in the dark on that, okay? So we're gonna start with the landing gear, but I just wanna point out real quick the piece count on this model. It's pretty low once you get the floats out of the way, okay? Because the floats, there's a lot of hardware for the floats that is not gonna be used in most applications. Oh, and the wheels are supposed to be measuring to 135 millimeters by default, not to exceed 140 millimeters. The reason they're giving you measurements, it's 3 PSI is the max, right? So if you guys have the right type of pressure gauge, you can measure, but most people don't have that type of pressure gauge because a standard pressure gauge is not gonna work for this, okay? I think I might have mentioned that. Now also, I wonder if you're gonna have to take yours apart. We have to take ours apart to get this mounted. So obviously there's some hardware here. There's 3 and 3. I think that's the way that's gonna go, but I'm not 100% certain, so we'll just leave this bag with the prop. This bag has 2 screws with 2 black washers. Those are gonna go here to hold in our mount points here, like this, right?
Yep.
And you want this part to go forward, okay? So that's gonna go like that. So I guess since I'm holding it right now in my hand, we'll go ahead and do that assembly. Now, obviously, for most of you, if you're transporting your plane, you're not gonna have to take it apart to this extent. You'll probably leave the landing gear on. I doubt most people are gonna take that apart when they go to the flying field. But this plane does quick click apart. So that means the tail feathers and the wing click together, correct? Okay, which is pretty sweet and amazing. And we'll show you the whole process, obviously. As usual here on Brian Phillips RC, we always show that stuff, okay? So this is a Phillips screw, so we're just gonna get this started, so not to be confused with Brian Phillips, except exactly the same spelling, and it's a name. Okay, so Phillips, I'm gonna go with like, this is the 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter. 4 millimeter size is probably about right, about a number 2 or number 1 screwdriver, number 1.5, if you're using American standards. Nope, that is not a Phillips. I'm sorry guys, it's actually just a regular hex drive, which is way better anyway, so I'm glad it is. Is it 2? Probably 2. Hey, I'm actually thrilled to be saying that. Sorry folks, that is not a Phillips. It just looked like it because it had been used once or twice. And like we said, this is a product development sample. A lot of times the planes you see on Brian Phillips RC are gonna be product samples, especially on early releases, because the ones that they ship for product development samples are in the States in time for us to get our videos done, so.
But if you pre-order, these should be shipping out fairly quickly. It's not gonna be a big
like within a
wait
couple
time.
weeks. So, unless you're overseas, which by the way, if you're overseas, if you're in Europe and you wanna help support Brian Phillips RC, you can actually order from our European links. So please do that if you think about it. Now we're gonna wait to put these on because I wanna get both of the assemblies on here, okay? So by the way, speaking of weld, look at that. Jeez. See that weld?
I bet they didn't do that in their garage.
I have no idea. Okay, so I'm gonna slide this down. Now, you'll notice they're really easy to put in. Not so easy on other timbers. Always have weird gear, okay? They've always had weird gear. So these ones are no exception. They're just a little bit different to install, but I'm actually very optimistic that they've designed these well. That is smaller than 2 millimeters.
Should be a 1.5, I think.
1.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna grab a 1.5 millimeter drive. Now it doesn't come with Allen keys. We haven't had those things for years in these models. Every once in a while you'll get a really crappy model from China and they will include the screwdrivers so that you forget how terrible it is. The plane. This is not one of them, okay? All right, so this is gonna go from the outside in, and I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but I can see the hole, so I'm gonna slide it until I can kind of see the hole, and then I'm gonna work my way in, and I wanna be careful not to screw up this yellow. Camera crew is blocking my access to where I need to be, so you're just gonna shift over a little bit. Now that I've got that through, I'm gonna actually come back to the nut here in a second. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and try to get these all started first, so as to have all the angles set, perfect. And the thing that's nice about these pockets is that you don't need a tool to actually hold that nut. And these are very small nuts. Okay? Dang. I don't know what you're going to do to show the people what's going on here, but I'm just pushing the screw back. Once the screw's back, all I need to do is get that nylock down in there. And by the way, this is a nylock. So if you're not familiar with nylocks are of course nylon embedded into the threads. And so you don't have to worry about any Loctite or any of that crap. In fact, Loctite will undermine a nylock because of the solvents used as a carrier in the product. So be careful about that, folks. Also, I would never encourage you to use Loctite on plastic because the plastic will generally get screwed up, okay? But why would you be using Loctite on this? Because you think you need it. Folks, if you needed it, they wouldn't be using a nylock. That's my point, and I hope you guys understood it without insulting anybody's intelligence. Which, by the way, on this channel, we have built so many planes, but we're learning new things every single day, and so we hope that we can help teach you guys what you need to know when you need to know it. And usually that's about the time you get a new model. And so if you guys are looking at a model and you're thinking, hey, I'm curious what Brian has to say about this particular plane or that particular plane or heli or quad or VTOL, all you have to do is look no further than brianphillipsrc.com. That's our website. And you can sort by type, brand, manufacturer, all that stuff. And it's a really good way for you to find what you're looking for. And whatever you're seeing us do on this plane, unless we've done the exact same plane like 14 times, which there are a few that we've done quite a few times, then you're going to be able to find the plane you want. Okay? I'm not going to go all the way in with that. I'm going to turn this, and I'm just trying not to knock my extremely small nuts off the counter. I want to get this other side started. It does seem to help to kind of get the position set by sliding this in first, okay? And I'm sure you guys will already draw that conclusion on your own. It's pretty simple, basic stuff. Principles of building RC planes is usually not super hard, but you know, to be honest, in the 10 or so years we've done this, we have seen a huge improvement in the assemblies of these aircraft. And nope, I'm not in. You see what happened? I missed the mark. And it is a little bit challenging to get this to drop down. Now, like I said, I kind of doubt most of you are going to be taking the landing gear off when you go to the flying field, or if you're going, but you might take the landing gear off a couple of times while you own this model because you might want to switch between floats and landing gear. There it goes. Now that it's through, and I was twisting it thinking I would, you know, make it easier on myself, and I don't know that it really helped. I'm spinning it to back it off just enough to drop this nut. You see, I'm just holding the nut in position, and then it's going to drop as soon as the threads get out of the way. There it goes. And that's very easy. Once you start it, it just goes, and then what you don't want to do is you don't want to bite this so hard that it actually prevents the free movement of the landing gear, because you want those to be able to splay out as you hit a landing rough. And I gotta say, with soft tires, splaying tires, splaying landing gear bogies, there should be a very good chance for success on these landing gear, and that's whether you're flying on a paved strip or an asphalt strip, or if you're flying off of like a grass ops, should be just fine. I do find this to be easier with the screw inserted. I've got the nut already started, so hopefully it doesn't fall out. If it does, keep your eyes peeled. Oh yeah, there it goes. Now it's going. So now I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just going to put it right here and just let that screw come in from the back side. Hopefully it won't knock it right off. Okay, and I'm just spinning it because it kind of helps contain. And I'm sorry, I have to necessarily put my finger over the top so it doesn't knock it out of the way as I tighten. Okay, now if you over tighten this, what's going to happen is you'll either crack the plastic or you'll make this thing not move free. And so of course, when you're done, you can move these by hand and make sure that you don't have any movement issues. And also I want to make sure that you get penetration all the way through to the nylon portion here. Okay, so if you don't see any protrusion, then you might want to go just a hair further. Okay, because remember, the way that screws hold is they go in and then the threads stretch into itself on the nut, okay? That nylon bites one of the crevices and holds a little bit tighter. And so you get that good purchase. So if you guys didn't know that, now you know that. All right, so do we need screws? Nope, we just need hooks, okay? Looks like the bigger part of the spring goes in. So you can do this either way, but it looks like it's probably gonna be kind of a toss up here. I'm gonna try to do this like that. I assume that's the way that they want us to do it. And then as you can see, we're gonna have to stretch these in. So now I don't wanna damage my finish. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a screwdriver of sorts. I wanna get something that's strong, it's got a thick shaft. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the shaft down so that we can overstretch it into this opening here. And I don't wanna stab my plane. So I'm gonna overstretch it, but I don't wanna damage the plane in any way. So I'm wondering if I can brace it here on the head of that screw. Nope, that's not gonna work. I wanna try needle nose pliers and I'll just report back if one is easier than the other. Historically, this has been kind of a tricky step if I remember right, because we had to do something similar on the 1.5. It's been a while since we did the 1.5. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold this. Obviously, you have to stretch it. Oh, but that makes it really hard to get lined up. Am I doing that wrong? Is there a difference between the left and the right? You know what? There might be. Watch. See what I'm talking about? Watch this. When I pull this down, I go to this like void, okay? Let's see what happens when I hook this in. Yep, you see this one's going that way and that one's going that way. This one's going toward the camera crew, this one's going back toward the tail. When I pull this, I have to over pull it a bunch, so I'll do this one first, just show you what I'm talking about. Go ahead and grab it. And this could shoot back in my face, so I'm gonna actually go way out here so I can push on the needle nose, and then I can brace my fingers on the back side of the other. You have to grab on the other side. Ooh, that's awkward. Okay, we're gonna try this a little bit different. I just wanna see if I can do, my concern is I'm gonna stab this or myself, okay? Because this spring, it's not like it's especially difficult. It's just that I'm being careful because I don't wanna damage this because it's so dang pretty. And there's not like a real amazing place to hang on to. So I'm just trying this. And you see my problem, guys. There's like no way to articulate that in because you kind of fight against your own entry point.
If you had this part...
If that was mounted the other way, it seems like it'd be a heck of a lot easier. But
if it was just,
that's the way it shows it in the drawing.
If it was loose though, then would it be easier to screw those in if it was all...
You mean like
together instead of trying to
if it was loose and then I had to go back and screw these down?
Yeah.
I guess that is something we could try. Okay. That's worth a shot. Let's try that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen that. Is that the 2 millimeters? That was 2?
Yes, it was 2.
So 2 millimeters. So that's a good idea. Camera crew, let's try this. So we're just gonna back this off quite a little bit. Maybe that's why they're so long. So that might give us just a little bit more room to work with. Yeah, they're pretty long. I just don't want it to rip out. All right, so there you go. So we've got a little bit less to reach to now. Yeah, maybe. Just can't help but feel like it's gonna pop out and damage something. There we go. Can you see that? Almost wounded. Almost wounded. Almost is the key. Okay. Now, same thing, except the problem is like you're gonna wanna hold here, but then you have nothing stretching. You have to hold here so that it stretches this length. Otherwise you're pulling here and you're not pulling anything that's gonna give, okay? This one's a little bit trickier. I'm gonna hang on pretty tight and see if I can do this. Oh yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Oh, that wasn't bad at all now. That did make a big improvement in my circumstances. So good idea, camera crew. So I'm gonna torque this down. Now this time you see how it's kind of wanting to walk that out? I don't particularly like how it's walking that out. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go back up a little bit. Yeah, it's just kind of trying to unbend itself. You see that? I don't like that. I wanna see if I can I just wonder if I need to do this, just a hair. Nah, I think we're just gonna go with it. Can always get the welder out later if we need to. That's a hilarious joke for those of you that don't know what's going on. The J3 Cub in the background, I had to weld the landing gear together because of repeated attempts to fly that I couldn't evidently complete. AKA gravity won the battle. Hey, show the people from the side the way that stuff turned out. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. That was easier than I thought it could be, but it was harder than I expected. So, splaying landing gear. Ooh, man, those are strong. But in combination with these nice squishy tires, I think we're pretty good. Now, also, it's gonna be a lot easier to do the pressure. Maybe, I wonder if it's easier once it's installed. I guess I'm not sure. And then look right here, we've got some little clip points there. Those clip points are right here in our bag of goodies, okay? So if you want, you can install these here, right there, and then that's gonna basically hold everything in and you won't have to search for it if you want. But I am gonna go ahead and, I guess I'm gonna leave them off, or are we gonna put them on? What do you think?
Well, then they're with all the float stuff if we leave them off.
Yeah, that's true. Or if you leave them on, then you have to take them out before you install the float. So we've made a decision. We're gonna leave them off, okay? So all these goodies go into here. Now remember, we did talk about that earlier. If you missed that, rewind and watch that section again. Now, obviously at some point, because we're building a pond, we're gonna have like a lot of float planes. But it's, in fact, we got a lot of planes now that we need to do that are already float planes. So super excited to see that. Now, tail feathers, while we got it upside down, pretty obvious how this is gonna work. We're gonna have this rod go through here and they're gonna join up. So the wing goes like this and passes through, and then there's a snap. Oh, that is so easy. I love it, love it. And let's see, wherever the plastic is reinforced, that's where you want to go. Oh man, that is so easy. Holy cow. And then look, they made wise decisions of having it unpainted here. Now on ours, admittedly, because this is a product testing sample, our elevator is probably already set, but I'm just afraid I'm gonna forget that. Oh, by the way, look at that ball link. Give them a super close shot on my ball link. 2mm drive, okay? So you can unscrew that. You can get to that with a pair of needle nose pliers, or you can use ball link adapters or ball link pliers to pull those things off. And if you guys don't know what ball link pliers are, ball link pliers look something like this, okay? So that's gonna give you the ability to work on these ball links really easy. So it'd be something like this. And of course, these ones just like always seem to be like not quite the right angle, no matter what the plane is. Have you noticed that? Like I've not been super impressed with this tool. This was a gift from somebody, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. Did Tom get this for us?
No, I think it was.
That was a cat.
That was a cat.
Knocking something off.
I think it was Grumpy John.
Grumpy John?
Yeah.
No, he sent us another one. They were like yellow. But anyway, my issue with these is that they're too thick on the tip, and you see how there's a gap? That gap is a problem, okay? So even though these are high quality, they're just, I don't know, they're just not like super well designed. They need to be like super sharp at the tip so you can get into really tight spots and break them free. And, but admittedly, I didn't have a pair before, so they work a lot better than the nothing I had before.
Well, and if you look like on our supplies page, it links to different options.
Yeah, it's just options.
Find like the thinnest
you want
ones
the thinnest
you can
tips
get.
that you can find right here. And I don't even know what that thing does. I'm sure it grabs balls.
They're pretty tiny.
Are you discriminating?
Oh, it's just a fit.
Okay. All right, so that's on. That was super easy. We already put the shaft on for the main wing. And I'm wondering if we throw the wing on before we do the prop. Do you want to do that, or what do you think? Okay, so this is going to be, I guess we'll see if it works upside down or right side up. Okay, so you see this? That obviously goes in there, very simple. And then this has got guides. Okay, I like to just kind of give it a wiggle. And then as we go in here, there is a release. And oh shoot, I didn't pay attention to how that's supposed to go. But if you look right here, see how that works? You see that rod that came through and that rod that came out? Oh, that's so cool.
So that's unlocked the way you have it now.
That's locked.
And then that would be locked, right?
That's unlocked.
Okay.
Show them one side and then the other. Unlocked, locked, right?
Yep.
Unlocked, now locked, okay? So this is unlocked. You're gonna slide it in. This is awesome that we can take this apart so easy. Okay. So just getting that slipped in. There it is. Now, I'm gonna slide this forward and then make sure it latches. You see that, how it's not pushed all the way forward? Now it's latched, okay? So definitely check that. That plane stand is gonna have to move if you wouldn't mind just sliding that off to the side.
Oh, totally off to the side.
So now with these pneumatic tires, you can see that we're definitely low on pressure probably, but man, that is a sweet looking plane. Okay. So now I'm gonna put the second wing on and it should squat down like crazy. Okay, so make sure you're unlocked. So unlocked, locked, unlocked. And that is spring loaded, by the way, so it's not going to be able to pop out without any sort of user intervention. Okay. Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Now, mine has a little bit of a bend here, probably from just being used a couple of times. So just make sure yours doesn't have a bend. Okay, so slide it in. And then I'm gonna push right here to kind of seat that. Which way am I going?
You are going towards me. So you need to go in.
Here, you do it.
In and towards me. I don't think you're in all the way.
Okay, let go. Put it up on its nose, that might help a little bit. So I need to go up or back and then down. And it went all the way.
Yep.
So it's latched.
Okay.
Okay, so that is a really easy build for being a big and detailed plane, and it looks really dang good.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this. Now, let's talk real quick. I am flying with slats. Mm-hmm. You don't have to fly with slats, but I am flying with slats. So this gets pulled up from here and up, okay? So if you grab here and you pop up and out, that's what they say, right?
Mm-hmm. From the trailing edge.
Man, that hurts. They're like stabbing me. I'm gonna get a flat bladed screwdriver and see if this helps, okay? Just run of the mill flat screwdriver. I wanna try to do this without damage. Oh man, that's scary. Did it go?
Yeah.
Let's show the people. Look, it's got a deep penetration before it bites.
Oh.
Okay, so now we can put these here. So I'm gonna get under there very carefully. Looks like they already took these off. Oh, you know why? Because they wanted to protect the slats in transit. I don't know if yours are coming with these on or in a bag.
I believe they're going to come on because it gives the instructions on how to take them off if you want to switch.
And they're always going to shoot on the ground, almost certainly. Make sure you don't stand on them. I bet it's going to hurt. Worse than Legos. Okay, so just to be clear, I'm going in at like this, pushing kind of forward and just a tiny bit of up. Yep, there it goes. Ooh, put your thumb on the leading edge. Follow the decal, slide it over. Now watch this, thumb on the leading edge makes it not shoot out. And I'm pivoting on my finger, okay? So as to keep the damage from occurring to the plane. I'm gonna just touch it. I'm not pushing pressure, I'm just touching it. Yep, that way you stab yourself instead of the foam.
Instead of the plane.
So you guys see, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're not broken, which is super nice. I thought for sure we were gonna break them. But they're actually pretty robust. Now, let's talk about this here. These leading edge slats are ambidextrous. Yeah, they're not left or right. I don't think. I'm double checking because I've been known to say things like this and then I'm wrong. And I don't think I'm wrong yet. Because these would be not located in the same positions. The only reason they would possibly do that. And why would the manufacturing team make it so much harder on themselves? I love the gap. The gap is gorgeous. But I am like scared to death to push them in. I thought we needed a tool for this.
Nope.
Oh man, you gotta press hard. And like there's nothing to support your hand here. I can hold this servo thing. Oh, it's scary. Flap thing, show them what I'm holding. I'm holding the flap protector. Now look, now go back above. Pushing in. Because you guys know exactly what I'm worried about. I'm gonna go into the inboard portion, except I'm gonna go, nah, I gotta go here. When you push on foam, foam is soft. Plastic is not. That's why we love plastic reinforcing connection points. Okay, now you can see both styles. And I gotta say, that is a superior look, if you ask my opinion. By the way, this plane got a little heft to it. I hope it flies good because it is hefty.
I mean, the box was like 16 pounds.
That is a lot of weight.
It's a big plane.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger. But you know what's weird is it's got the Timber X look though. Like I said, the Timber X look, it's not the turbo Timber with the long skinny nose. So if you guys don't know the difference between the two, I've got those Ultra Micros, I could show them. The Ultra Micros, by the way, are all good in the Timber. It's such a scary thing to do. I'm using my fingernail this time just to see if it helps. I just get up under it and just pull toward me, but I don't want to damage this. It's such a pretty plane.
I mean, most people probably aren't. That's the other thing I was worried about. Aren't gonna switch back and forth between slats and vortex generators a lot.
I'm not switching.
I wouldn't think.
These things are probably never gonna get used again in my application. I'm gonna put them in a bag and I'll have them like with the floats. And that's where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the screwdriver. So once you get the lip under there. Oh, I don't like doing that. Oh, it's such a scary process. Guys, anybody who has foamies knows exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you that are like, I'm never gonna spend that much money on a foamy, we get it. There's people that aren't gonna spend that much money on a foamy. But I gotta tell you something, you're missing out. Foamies are amazing. Some of them are very, very good. And then there are some that suck, just like everything else. But if you're, hell-bent on, I'm only gonna fly balsa wood, like you guys are literally you're missing all the latest stuff, which is a bummer. Look at this, guys.
Uh-oh.
I got into some of that weird, like silicone glue in there.
Oh.
Which, by the way, Horizon, what the heck is that silicone glue? I would like some of that because I'm used to using China glue. But I want some of that stuff. Because I don't know what it is, but it's like super rubbery. And it cures fully, which is nice. Okay, so fork connection points. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but there is that little flat point. So it's got the exact same dimensional impact on. Huh, that's so weird. I thought maybe the yellow didn't match, but I think it's just the way the light's hitting it. It does match.
Yeah.
That's so weird because I swear it was like matching perfect earlier. Oh, that's white. Yeah, that's totally, it does match. It's just the way the light hits. And I gotta say, the pneumatic tires make this thing move around a lot, which is not desirable while you're snapping these in because it makes you nervous. It makes me nervous. I gotta say, this thing is like beautiful. And if you guys haven't experienced the twin timber, super fun plane, but I gotta say, it's still a novelty in my opinion, okay? This is a timber, it's what I want, it's the way it's gonna fly, is what I'm after. And it reminds me of the Draco in some ways because I know even though it's kind of like love it or hate it, I love the Draco. And I know a lot of you guys are like, I hate the Draco. And I don't know why you hate the Draco because it's an amazing plane. but it is a heavy plane and it flies amazing, okay? Heavy planes can fly amazing, but they have to have the right amount of wing mass and they have to have the right, you know, profile. They have to have the right hardware for electronics. And that's part of the reason why we don't really get off put by heavy or light. Just because it's light doesn't mean it's gonna fly good. And just because it's heavy doesn't mean it's gonna fly bad. Just to be clear. 3 screws, we're gonna knock those out right there. And we need to basically take apart the spinner assembly. Is that a Phillips?
No, it's a hex. I'm assuming it's a 2mm.
Okay, 2mm.
Yep. And then these are probably 2mm too.
All right, so let's just sit and try this. Man, I gotta say, I love the way the wheels are awesome. The wheels are awesome. And I don't even care, I forgive them for not having a pneumatic tire on the tail because even the tail looks good. Oh man, it does look like we could use a little more pressure though. Okay, so 2mm was your guess and you were correct. Okay, so guys, I'm starting to get pretty excited about this. Okay, so just a spinner. Okay. Singular screw. This needs to come off, so I'm gonna have to get, how the heck did they get that on there so tight? That is weird. I wonder what they did to do that.
And I'm assuming,
Crescent.
I don't know if theirs is gonna come assembled
This isn't
or not.
crescent. I have to assume that theirs will probably come assembled, but it could just be because of the product development thing. Okay, so just broke it loose. It wasn't that tight. I was just being a pansy. Look at this. Look at this. We finally have one of these wing nut things. See that? Why have we not had these for years, folks? Feel how light this is.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be way heavier.
Listen, it's aluminum. That's why. Okay, and then this is a 13/8. 13/8 prop. And that is a beautiful prop, by the way. Wish it was painted. So then this needs to go on here. And it's gonna go whenever it keys in. Should be fine. They've got some machining here to relieve contact from the drive shaft. And these ones do have a Loctite and they are not 2mm. So we have to keep that there. So this is probably a 2.5mm.
Shoot.
Yeah, 2.5mm, as you guys can see here, 2.5mm. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna screw this in. Now these do have Loctite on them and it's metal to metal, so I can say with some level of certainty that you should be good to go if you wanna use Loctite, but this already has Loctite applied, okay? So I'm not super worried about the Loctite being a big issue. And frankly, I hope you notice if your prop comes loose before it pops off, but I've not had a big problem with that. We have had some props come off in our time. And usually they were on planes. Excuse me, I had a sneeze there. So weird. So you kind of get what you should pay for. And the funny thing is, guys, I say that now because I have had a plethora of experience with a variety of different price points. And my experience is that with E-flite, you end up paying a very small premium or actually less because of the nature of the bind and fly. You end up with basically a cheaper overall solution because you don't have to buy an AR637T. Now, if you weren't gonna buy a 637T and you were gonna go with like a 631 or a 630, which would be considerably cheaper, well, not even really considerably, but they would be a little bit cheaper, you're still gonna save more by getting the bind and fly. So, I mean, but there are people that buy plug and fly planes from Horizon. Now, if you're unsure of how this all is going to go together, keep in mind the safest thing you can do. Like I said, if you're unsure, just leave this off for this part of your setup because obviously you don't want to get cut. If you get cut by this thing, it's not going to be a small cut. You're going to be going to the hospital. Because, yeah, props are dangerous. Lipos can be dangerous if you're not careful. Smart ones are the best ones for safety margins. And so if you want the highest safety margins, then get some sort of an auto discharging pack, whether that's Smart or some other variety in the market. That's fine with us. Okay, so you can see in here, this doesn't have too much special about it. And it's gonna line up wherever it lines up. Black on black, maybe not my favorite, but a lot of guys really like that. I would have liked to see some sort of a chrome spinner here, but I can live with it. Black on black looks good. Oh, also there was answers, and we know you're gonna have questions, and that is why not glass canopy? Why not, camera crew?
Because this is not a replica model.
Because it would have cost a bunch of money and added weight.
Yes,
That's the real answer. However, if you have an X-Acto knife and plastic, you could potentially do it yourself. But I'm not suggesting you do it, and here's why. Because I agree, this probably doesn't need it, and I love the way glass canopies look, especially on bigger planes. You would think that there might be room in a budget for this, but there again, be surprised if you're competitive with some other offering, then maybe that's what they were going for.
Rather have the soft tires and
100%.
stuff like that.
I'd rather have soft tires every day of every week, all day long, all week long.
Glass canopies are cool in scale planes, but then you always have to deal with what it looks like from the inside if you have wires going through, and I don't know.
I will forgive that every time too, though.
I don't think it takes anything away.
No, not on this model.
Love
and
yellow.
just to be clear, you know, example one, you've got a glass cockpit on the T28, but on the Carbon Z Cub, you have a painted finish like this. The Carbon Z Cub, super light on its feet, but it's still a heavy plane, but not based on how big it is. It's 2.1 meters. It's huge. Whereas the SWS has glass windows. And so if you really want to do glass, then you get the SWS, which is going to give you all those features, and balsa wood finish. That's a lifelong plane, you know, until you crash it. Okay, but you can fix them too. You can fix them just like you can fix foam, and that's one of the reasons why we do like E-flite, because when you guys do have a crash, and if you're anything like me, you'll fix it yourself without buying parts. But if you need to buy parts, you can get parts. If you're ever trying to support Brian Phillips RC and you're like, hey, I need a part, how do I support you? Just follow the link for the plane, go to the plane, or even if you're just looking for the manual and you can't find it, we can't possibly have links to every item, but we have links to the planes. And so all you do is follow the link to the plane and then scroll down, and they have manuals and support information there so you can easily find it if you don't already hear the answer from Brian Phillips RC himself, which, yes, I do say that in third person because it will annoy a few of you, and that's why I do it. But yeah, I don't talk about myself like that all the rest of the time.
Not usually.
That would be really weird. I don't know if we need this.
Yeah, because we're going to put air in the tires, so you'll flip it over, right?
I mean, you don't technically have to have it off of the plane, I guess, but yeah, to measure them. Yeah, to measure them.
And then we'll probably mark C.
When you get a plane that's big enough to whack your lights, that's when you know you've arrived, and you should be happy. Because if you can whack it, well, I don't remember where I was going with that. If you can whack it, you did something right. It's not working tonight. Okay, so we need to measure these to do this. So calipers, and what was the desirable measure?
135 is the recommended size.
135. Okay. So what I need is probably a second set of hands. So I'm going to open this up to 135. Okay, so here's 135, close enough. And I'm just going to set this, the set screw, back that off, just go back just a hair. Come back, open just a hair. There we go. So 135 essentially. Let's look where we are. Okay, folks. Oh, we got a ways to go.
Yeah.
So camera crew is going to hold this. We don't need to look at the reading. We don't care. All I need is it to just be on there. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull the plug. Now you're supposed to wet this, so I'm going to let the camera crew do that off camera.
Okay.
And then I'm going to stick it in.
Wait, how do you want me to hold this?
Okay, you're supposed to wet it. I didn't do it earlier because I didn't want to be weird. Okay, I need to measure the outside diameter at the center. Whoa. Remember, you have to have the fattest part of it, okay?
Okay. Trying to look in 3 places at once.
Okay. Okay, so there's that. Now, I gotta say, that was easier upside down on the plane stand than it would have been if we were on the ground, okay? But I might suggest that you do that before you build because it's gonna make it a little bit less wonk when you're doing it, okay? So now I'm gonna pull this plug. We already showed you the plug. I know this is kind of awkward without a second set of hands, just so you guys know. And if you don't wet your tip, then you might screw up the check valve. Just let it push out of the way, push toward whichever side. You don't have to have it centered.
A little more?
I just want to make sure you're at the widest part.
Yeah.
Hon, you got to be to the widest part. Okay. Seems like, okay, then pull it out and you're done. So if it's got asymmetry, you may notice it have a little bit of a yaw tendency, has been my experience, because we have had pneumatic tires on our Beaver, our Carbon Z Cub. We've done it on a bunch of different planes. And I gotta say, the pneumatic tires make a big difference, But if you can do pneumatic tires, and I gotta say this, these things are as light or lighter than the foamies. That's the crazy part. And because if you get the DeBro offering, they are way heavy.
Do you want to do CG while we're upside down and you're literally holding the calipers?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I'm gonna get a marker. So the center of gravity needs to be marked, and normally we would do this after we install the battery, but to be frank, this is a bind and fly, it's not gonna take us long.
So it's 95 to 110 behind the leading edge of the wing.
95 to 110, all right. So here's 95. So from where?
From the leading edge,
where?
Not the little inset,
okay.
But except now you have slats on there.
No, I can still measure. Look, 95 goes here. So make my bump. I'm gonna darken my bump. And then I'll just do both of the 95s first. Okay. So I'm going in close to this spot. Now, if you guys don't like making marks on your planes, I don't blame you, and that's totally cool. I've just found that this works really good. Also, if you ever do this and you're like, oh, I marked the wrong spot. It's hard to take the bump out from marring the finish with this, but it's easy to wipe off the mark if you use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a cloth, okay? 110? Good Lord, that's a big range. Well, it's actually not for a big plane, I guess. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, look. Pretty big range. And then also, as you guys probably already know, with other timbers, the center of gravity is like, if you can fit it, you can ship it. Okay?
Right.
I mean, it's gonna fly. If you fly it tail heavy, it's gonna fly. If you fly it nose heavy, it's gonna fly.
And then the manual does state for general flying, 105 is gonna be optimal, and then 110, so the back of the range for aerobatic.
And that's because tail heavy planes are gonna tend to have a little bit more aggressive and more agility, especially on the pitch axis, because really what you're changing when you change the center of gravity is you're changing the pitch axis predominantly.
And center of gravity is fairly subjective to a certain extent, right? Depending on your, I'm just gonna keep that in there for, oh good, that drawer was getting kind of empty.
In case I need to pump something. Okay, what about center of gravity being subjective?
It's a little bit subjective. Like you use
center of gravity is subjective in terms of the way you want a plane to fly, but it's not subjective in terms of the way that you manufacture a wing and body of a plane. In a real aircraft, the center of gravity is quite, I mean, it's quite specific because everything is controlling based on the way that the plane is supposed to fly. But on a radio-controlled plane where there's not life and limb on the line, unless, of course, you make a mistake and cut yourself with your prop, it's really just comes back to a point of, you know, they look a lot better now.
Yeah,
they look less
squatty.
Less squatty.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, you know, I kind of want them to be somewhat squatty because that's kind of what I want. So I may end up taking some pressure out to make these things really soft. But it just depends on how it handles, okay? So first thoughts, I gotta say, what a sweet looking plane. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. It feels like a Carbon Z, and yet it's not, okay? Carbon Z Cub is hard to transport because there's like 400 things to take apart to take off the wing, okay? Carbon Z Cessna 150T, a little bit easier, but still a lot of parts to take apart. This thing, I can have the wing off in seconds. I'm just gonna prove it. I don't normally do this in an Unbox build radio setup, but I'm just gonna show you. So it's locked right now. Which way does it go? Watch this, guys. I can take this wing off right now. You guys see how easy that was? Here, just to show, I mean, it's gonna unbalance it a little bit. That wing is off. That took me seconds.
Yeah.
I can do the same thing with the tail feathers, except it's even easier because there's less weight shifting, okay? Now keep in mind, you've got plastic here to hang on to, which is nice. And you've got plastic here, so if you drag the wingtip, you're not gonna have a ton of damage, which is super nice on the Draco having those metal things, because that's the way it is on the real one too. Well, the real one's crashed, but. Okay, so there's that. Just bring it in. It doesn't snap or anything. And then you're gonna slide this thing back and forth. Okay, so this goes back and then over and then toward the front and make sure it's seated all the way. And then you might wanna just give it a tug test. Now, admittedly, there are easier planes. The D18, the D18. Beechcraft has snap-in wings similar to the P51 1.5 meter. They snap in, the ailerons start functioning and the lights start working. It's amazing, okay? But I like this better because it gets you down to the wing root, okay? So you also notice that this wing is a different design than most of the timber wings connect in the middle and then they are mounted from the top. This connects to the fuse, so the strength is in the fuse. It's all one piece. I love that, okay? I also like the way this looks here. This relief is cool. Not sure how it's gonna stand up to flight performance. I don't know that it's a big deal, okay? But I mean, we've already flown the Timber X. We've already flown the Night Timber X. We've already flown the Timber 1.5. We've flown the Turbo Timber 1.5. We've flown the Turbo Timber 1.5 V2. We've flown the Twin Timber 1.6, right?
Yes.
We've also flown the SWS, which is 2 meters of pure delight. And I gotta say, guys, every one of them stands well on its own 2 feet, okay?
You didn't even include the UMX timber.
UMX timber, UMX Turbo Timber, UMX Turbo Timber V2,
Turbo Timber
UMX Timber X. But no Night Timber X, which would be awesome, Horizon.
And
come
UMX,
on, give
yeah,
it to
that would
us.
be so cool.
That would be so sweet because, to be honest with you, if I wanted a package deal, there's gonna be something fun to fly that's just gonna be like, hey, I mean, it's, you know, give it or take. That would be it.
That would be fun.
Because that'd be super
sub
awesome.
250 too, so it'd be small.
With lights, even with lights, it should be fine.
I think so.
Okay, so this is supposed to fly on a variety of packs. I'm just gonna tell you right now, you're probably not gonna put a 7,000 in here because it's gonna give you a lot of trouble getting the CG right, okay? You can fly with a 5,000, you can fly with a 4,000, you can fly with a 3,200, but we've been told kind of the sweet spot that the product development guys liked was about 4, right?
3,200.
3,200,
Yeah.
okay. Now, so we'll go with 3,200 if that's what they seem to like. Then I'm gonna go with 3,200. Admittedly, I know a lot more of you probably have 4s than 3,200s because I don't fly a lot of planes on 3,200, but we do have a 3,200 50C, okay? The recommended pack, we'll link to that. 4,000 is the other recommended size, okay? So first things first, I'm gonna bring this forward. The thing that's nice about this too is you don't have that RJ Gritter issue where you're catching right here on the wing, okay? So I like that a lot, but we do have plastic here, we have plastic here, we have plastic here, it's all protected, okay? So let's see how hard it is to get this out. Lift it out. Now, admittedly, we probably had some sort of Velcro backing that we would have been able to use that would have allowed us to stick to this, but we don't have that on our packs because the PD guys probably stole it from us.
They don't have their own Velcro?
No, they just opened the Velcro out of the kit.
Took that one out.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So in our case, we might need to add, I like putting shelf liner in. Shelf liner is a very easy thing you can add to a plane to give it a little bit more reliability, a little bit more consistency. because you don't want your battery slipping and sliding around. That would be unfortunate because it's probably going to make your plane crash. Now, the cool thing about a tray is you're never going to be that far from where you put it, okay? So if you look at this, let's see how it goes without doing the shelf liner trick, okay? Pop this opened. Obviously got like a million straps and Velcros in here. Seems like we had another bag with more Velcro, but maybe that's it.
You could almost glue the shelf liner just to that little bit of hook.
Plastic?
Yeah.
But you guys see what I'm talking about? Look at this. There's only so much it's gonna move. And relative to the size of this aircraft, that might not be a huge issue. But you can strap them down usually good enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab just, I mean, we don't need a lot.
No.
Right? Oh, that sticks really nicely. I'm just wondering if we should just do that, hon. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, so shelf liner is the stuff you're supposed to use in your shelves to line them.
Yeah, we don't do that.
This stuff helps your battery instead of slipping and sliding. It will, once you get a little pressure on there, it's very sturdy. Okay, so I'm just gonna oversize this just a wee bit. Cut it, and then cut it. Very simple, very basic stuff. And then I can take and stick this down. This is just leftover from another plane project. I don't ever buy hook and loop for anything because it always seems like we get a ton of this in the models.
Yep, just appears.
It just appears.
And now you use that random little piece that was bothering me, so.
Yeah, I figured I did it just to not bother you. Now also, I just want to point out that little bit of adhesive when you get a pack really hot can come through. So if you ever do have issue with that and it drives you nutso, you can actually stick a second piece down if you really want to get creative. But I don't care. It's not been a big issue because what I do is if I have a pack that gets kind of creamed by all the sticky stuff, I use isopropyl alcohol and I'll clean it off. I like keeping these Velcro free. I don't always do it that way. I do about 95% of the time though, just full disclosure, because I feel like it's easier to keep and maintain your packs if they are clean and you can read them better, okay? So then all you do is you just strap it down, ready to rock and roll. We have learned something on this channel, and this is from a lot of experience. We're not speaking from 20, 30 planes here, we're talking hundreds of planes, okay? When you get a plane and you want to fly it, if it's hard to load the battery, you will be less likely to fly it. And I know you think I'm blowing smoke, but it is true. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you the truth because we really don't gain from doing anything but that. When we review a plane, we review the plane, we talk about our findings. I know sometimes we're in unique circumstances because where we live and the way we set up our little aerodrome that we live on. But beyond that, I mean, a lot of the same things are gonna be true for the average pilot. And I am not really anything more than an average pilot, to be honest. Some of the guys on YouTube are phenomenal pilots, way better than me. And then some of the guys are, they do other things. What?
Didn't say anything.
Yeah. So I'm gonna set this at a bit of an angle just to show you how this is gonna load. Now we have a pretty good amount of reach here, and that's an Avian Light ESC. It looks like this is rated for up to 6S, 85 amp Avian ESC. So we should be able to turn on thrust reverse, which obviously thrust reverse is critical on a float plane so you can back away from reeds and things like that, but we like it to help slow a plane down. Now, this thing is gonna do fine, I'm pretty sure, from the barn door flaps and all that good stuff. Also pay attention to where these hooks are. These hooks are gonna go a certain direction, okay? So you're gonna mount your battery this way, okay? Now, I have a trick of the day. If you don't wanna plug in your battery, you can plug in just one part. Just watch your data lead on your IC5, okay? So you can actually hook that and then you can get this in there and that's gonna hold your battery for you until such a time as you're prepared to actually hook it up for testing or whatever it happens to be, right? So there's 4 positions. The positions are like this. There's a position here, and so on and so forth. Don't put it here because there's nothing then to latch down to, okay? But even with that battery going backward, if you wanna call it backward, you see what's going on? I gotta release this, pull it up, and then slide this back until it latches. If you want it right there, You slide that back, and I'm kind of caught on something. What am I caught on? I'm gonna go back a position anyway, because I'm probably way too far back. Then I'm gonna push this forward, and then I'm gonna slide it down. And even though the avian light ESC is there, it's got a little bit of room to move, okay? So now that's locked in there. And I wanna say it's not going anywhere, but it's locked in there. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Also, we're not powered up, so we can check our CG real quick. And we can establish where the CG needs to be. Now, obviously, next up is gonna be radio setup, so we're just gonna lay this out of the way so I don't accidentally knock it off the counter. NX10 is the way to go, by the way. Hopefully you got one on sale, because they just had them on sale the other day, but if you didn't get them while it's on sale, get one anyway, okay? On the back holes, we are nose heavy. We're actually about perfect on center of gravity there. And then we're okay there, but we're starting to get a little bit tail heavy. I would say we need to come forward, okay? So very springy feel on the ground. I hope that doesn't translate to difficult controlling ground handling. So this goes forward, the little tab goes forward, then it goes up, then it goes to the next position, which means you have to lift it up, then slide it into the next boxes, slip it back till it seats, pull forward, drop it down, and it's locked, okay? Shelf liner is obviously gonna hold it in position. And keep in mind, once you've coarse tuned your center of gravity, then you can slide it on the tray wherever it needs to be. Okay, so center of gravity, I marked it way out here, geez. Okay, so there's, yeah, so we're like really good there. Now I'm kind of favoring forward from the back hole, and we're just really good. Then on the front hole, we're tail heavy, so that's perfect. Now, if you guys don't understand what I'm saying, if you look at the center of gravity marks I've got, I can feel those with my my middle finger. And what I say is the back hole here, I balance it on there, then I slide forward until I get to the front hole, and then I can tell what's going on. If you've got two holes and you're using your fingers to figure out which one you're in, then just be careful you don't get in trouble with your CG test. All right, so what's next? We got to get this radio setup done. So we're going to start with the NX10. Now, if you guys don't have an NX10, you can get this done with probably less channels, but all the features we're going to do are going to be, we're going to probably use the most of it. So that's pretty sweet. And part of the reason we talk about the NX10 being our go-to right now is just for the simple fact that we're about to run out of memory on this thing, because we have like 250 models almost, and that's what Airware supports, okay? I'm not sure what we're gonna do, if we'll have to go in and delete some older models, or if we're gonna have to go in and take care of some redundant planes that maybe we had one with flaperons, one without. But that's the biggest problem we have right now with the NX10. And we've had really good luck with it. It's got plenty of features to get you by. It's got all the mixes that you're gonna need. It's got obviously good Hall effects sensors, but I don't really even care about the Hall effects. I've flown on NX8, never had a problem before. But the Hall effects are a smoother gimbal. I just don't think I need that. What I need is 10 channels. And what I need is the bigger battery, which this does come with the bigger battery. So that's expensive, by the way. So price that if you're trying to go 8 to save a few bucks. And just make sure you're gonna get what you need. And obviously it comes with the lanyard and all that stuff, which is, you know, you should get that with all of them if you ask me. But I don't think the NX6 came with one. So, and I wouldn't suggest the 6. I don't even think they make the 6 anymore. But if you get one used, it's fine. That comes with 7 channels, but I would go 7E if you're gonna try to go on the cheap end. The 7E is still expensive. And just remember, if you spread the cost of this over 10 models, you know, you're talking like 50 bucks a model or 55 bucks a model, unless you get it on sale. But if you spread the 7E across 10 models, you're only talking about 35 bucks a model. So it's less money, right? But you know, if you're gonna have that many models, just get the more expensive. What you don't wanna do is you don't wanna have this and the 7, unless of course you're trying to teach your kid to fly. And that's one of the best things you can do is if you get a second transmitter, you can use them to pair up and do buddy boxing. And I'm talking about you both have control as the master. You can relinquish control back to yourself in seconds, meaning you don't even have to hit a button, you just start waking it up and then you're flying. It is the difference between success and failure for many pilots. So I don't mean to poo-poo the concept of having a 7E and a 10, or having an NX8 and an NX10, or an NX10 and an IX20, or an IX14, or whatever it is you end up with. But I do want to give good advice, and my good advice is this is going to get you through hundreds of models, and you're not going to run out of channels, okay? And ask me, because I've had a DX18, and you want to know how many times I went over 10? That would have been zero. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you can't, and we couldn't have. We could have, but we just didn't.
Just didn't.
Okay? All right, so that being said, we're ready for radio setup. And what we're gonna do is on radio setup, if you guys come around and look at this with me, one of the best things about getting a bind and fly super timber, from our links in the video description below, you can see here's the size classes. Okay, so they're recommending a 50C, 50C, 30, 30, 30, 30. So they're fine with 30Cs. And they recommended 32. That's weird. I figured they would have said go with 4,000 because it's kind of the middle of the road. Oh, there. They are suggesting that for the recommended equipment. And they're suggesting a Smart S1400. I would not recommend that, guys. If you're spending the kind of money it costs for a 1400, get the 2200. 200 watts per channel is fine. 400 watts per channel is crazy power, okay? And that's what the 1400, one channel, 400 watts.
Single channel, yeah.
That's a dual channel, and it's 200 watts on each channel. I've never had a problem with speed. And you can charge it like 20 amps depending on the battery. Also, we have the other battery chargers we have are fine. Like if you're never gonna go over 4S, then just get the S155, you'll be fine. That's one channel, 55 watts. 55 watts was, I wanna say it was like the standard size you would get. You go 55, 60, 50 watts, something in there. But nowadays, you know, you're getting up to hundreds of watts for charging. That's a lot of wattage, okay? So remember, current times voltage, wattage. Wattage is a measurement of power. You want to be able to charge quick, but for God's sake, I mean, you know, you're not welding with the thing, okay? All right, so what we're looking for is page 4 in this case. Horizon does a good job of putting these manuals together, or I should say E-flite in particular on this, okay? So NX series right here, IX series here, and then the DX series. Okay, so right here, this is our setup, okay? They're gonna give you just a quick rundown on what things you need to set. It should be pretty straightforward stuff. Obviously, you don't have to have that set up. We do a lot of plug and play planes on Brian Phillips RC because I wanna teach you guys how to use one of the most critical parts of your tool bag, and that is gonna be the transmitter and receivers too. They are a lot easier to set up than they used to be, and that's very helpful. Okay, so power on your transmitter. I'm gonna click cancel and back as soon as it wakes up. Also, there's a couple of updates I have not done. Okay, so cancel and back, go to add new model, and then create. Now, you may have noticed it said 209. That's because we have about 40 or 48 or 41 or 29 or something before that as well from our previous transmitter. So cancel and back, add new model, timed out, create. Okay, so you click and scroll, works really good. And once it creates a new model, you'll notice it's pretty slow when you get up to the high end, by the way, meaning when you're up to like the high level numbers, okay? Also, I have an external memory card right here. There's one inside right here too. If you were to take this apart, it's right inside of here. That's the internal memory in case you guys were wondering. All right, so model select we already did, model type. This is where you would reset the whole thing if you change it from an acro to one of the other styles. Sailplanes are way more sophisticated. These are quads, and this of course would be helis. Okay, so model name, this is where we type in the name, says 210 colon space, and then we type it in. Normally we'd have the box sitting right there so we'd be able to see what to call it, but of course this is the Super Timber, and it's the 1.7, so we'll type that in, come right back. All right, so the Super Timber 1.7 meter, we're gonna hit back. So then aircraft type, this is where you're gonna look into the manual, so you can set that aside for a second. If you guys wanna see this screen, you can just pause it on the YouTube platform or whatever. Okay, so power it on, it's gonna tell you all the stuff to do that we've talked about so far. Aircraft type, one aileron, one flap. Okay, so one aileron, one flap, and then a normal tail. And then of course I'm gonna go down and select an image from the standard file. And there is a way to load the more images on there. I think that's probably as close as we're gonna get. You would think they'd have a timber in here. Okay, and then we'll do, are they talking about flight modes on this? And they don't even talk about it. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna set up flight modes then. If they don't have flight modes in here, yeah, I would be amazed. We're setting up a flight mode. I'll show you what flight mode setup looks like. You don't have to do it this way, but that's the way I'm gonna do it. I like using the D switch, even though we don't have retracts on this model, and that's because I accidentally flip the A switch when I take off, because it's like it's entrained in my brain. Okay, so switch D. Spoken flight modes. So if it was flight mode 1, I want that to be AS3X, I want this to be off, and I want this to be AS3X and safe. So we'll do that right now by typing it in. Cancel, cancel clears it. And then I can scroll in AS3X and we'll come right back. Okay, so AS3X, then we can do a spoken, but it's like way down here. So we'll pause while we scroll. Okay, so AS3X mode, as you can see, all the way at the bottom. Okay, so obviously you want to change that. So this one, I'm gonna cancel, cancel, clear it, and then I'm gonna type the word off. Okay, so off, and then this one, there is a word off as well. Not silence, but off, okay? Now remember, this is just a label. It's not actually the setting. We'll show you how to do the settings as we get the setup done, okay? So this one's gonna be safe. So sensor assisted flight envelope, which is auto leveling, in case you guys don't know. AS3X is artificial stabilization 3-axis. Okay, so sensor assisted flight envelope. And then we gotta scroll back in. Okay, so then we're gonna use safe. Pretty cool. So now that will display on the home screen when we're out. And okay, so I want to unassign B from aux2. And since we don't have gear, I might end up using that for flight mode, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to unassign it for now, because we're going to have to assign the flight mode to something. Now I'm sure I'm not using this. So I'm going to go ahead and make an assignment now to D, or an assignment to flight mode. You guys saw I scrolled right past it. You can't exercise flight mode like you can a switch, okay? There's F mode, okay? So I'm gonna just assign that to 9. Now, the cool thing is we have a 6-channel transmitter or receiver in here, but we can use all these channels, guys. That's what's so cool about this, okay? So if we have thrust reverse set up, I'm about 100% sure I'm gonna use thrust reverse, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and set this right now to switch G, and we'll talk about how to make that setting the rest away a little bit later. All right, so walking out of the menu, you can see it says AS3X.
Off. Safe mode. Off. AS3.
Remember, just a label, but it's really nice to have that label. You hand this transmitter to your buddy, they're flying your plane, and you're like, hey, you know, what mode's it in? Look at the screen.
Off.
Listen to the lady,
AS3.
okay? Which I'm going to click and go to dual rates, rates and expo, and I'm gonna set this. Now I'm gonna deviate from the plan here, where this is here, okay? I'm not gonna set it that way because I have a 3-position switch and I'm gonna use it, okay? So highlighting this, setting it to switch F, I'm gonna set it to 5, 10, and 20. So that's a doubling effect. And I'm gonna start in the middle, and then I've got a half or a double. And I can reduce the rates a little bit, but we reduce them to a lower quantity than the 70 with 5% expo. I always err on the side of more expo and less lowering of rates, because expo does not give up the actual throw on the surface, okay? So this is where I start. If I want more soft sticks, I go here. If I want less soft sticks or more sensitive sticks, I go here. But either way, you get back to the ground, or at least that's the hope. Once you're to the ground, you make your changes on a permanent basis to the middle setting if you really like it, okay? Okay, and then we just replicate that on all 3 of the primary control surfaces. Whoa, that jumped like crazy. There's one thing we've noticed about this transmitter, and we did have that happen on our 8 as well. eventually your scrolly wheel gets a little weird, especially if you go out in the rain with it. So be super careful to keep it dry. Okay, so there's that on the elevator. And then for rudder, we're gonna do the same thing. Now you might be saying, I already know what I'm gonna use. I'm not gonna deviate from it. Then don't set it to a switch. Set it to on, which you can do that. Okay. Okay. And if you didn't know you could do that, you can just turn it. See how it says inhibit? You can just turn it on. Okay. Most people don't do that, I don't think. They want adjustability. Okay. So now I'm back to F, so it should already be pre-populated. Okay, good. So all three of the control surfaces are set. Now throttle cut's gonna be set to switch F, or excuse me, switch H. Okay. So now I'm gonna move my throttle stick. Yep, it's off. Now I'm gonna turn it. There's my throttle's working. Throttle cut is now on. Get used to hearing me say that because that's how I keep my hands from looking like sausage, okay? Because I do a lot of work with planes. Good habits are better than throttle cut, but throttle cut is a lot better than nothing, okay? Digital switch setup, select switch G. We'll show you what that's gonna do later, so we'll just, I already know how it's gonna work, so I could just set this now for thrust reverse, but we'll show you how it works later, okay? Flap system, I'm gonna set this to switch B. One of my sliders was in a weird position. I wanted to make sure it wasn't broken or weird. Okay, so switch B for flaps, and this is where you can cheat and put this all in. They want it on switch D. I have a hard time getting to switch D. I don't change modes very often, so I go ahead and use that. Okay, so on switch B, I want the speed to be 2 seconds. Based on the manual, they suggest 2 seconds. The bigger planes I've found, sometimes a little bit more helps. A little bit more deployment speed, okay? So this is 2 seconds to go from this position all the way to this position, right? So we're gonna be minus 100 for this. See how it went the wrong way? It's always fancy. And remember, this is locked to a max of 100, whereas your servo setup allows you to go to 150% above or below. Okay, so take off flaps. Okay, and then landing flaps. We'll probably reevaluate that after we're all done. And then do they have anything else? Throttle cut's obviously done. Flaps are taken care of, speed's taken care of. All right, so we should be good to go. So we'll walk out of the menu. We'll clear the timer. Throttle cut is on. I'm gonna go to monitor mode. Whoops. I was accidentally in my volume. Okay. Throttle cut's on and throttle's not moving. It says stuck at minus 100. That's what we want. Throttle cut is on, stuck at 0. Okay. That's what we want. So I said that twice because here's the time where you get cut if you make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. Don't get cut. Okay. You're big boys and girls. You can figure it out yourself. Obviously, it's expensive to go to the hospital and you won't be able to buy planes if you're spending all your money at the hospital. Okay. Also, just real quick, talking about charge and everything, we were talking about this S2200 earlier. S2200 is amazing. Smart packs give you a little bit less risk because there is a smart chip in here that's gonna auto discharge based on your timeline. We set ours to 240 hours. It's a long time. It will deteriorate your packs longer. The longer the time you wait for auto discharge, the less time you're gonna get out of these packs because they will get into the more unstable chemistry. Just so you know, if you run a shorter duration, like 72 hours is the default setting, you'll have a little bit longer life expectancy from your cells. Now, that's why I like this. You plug it in and it goes, okay? You don't have to think about it. You set it up one time to change however many hours you want for the auto discharge. This is the S155 that I was talking about, much cheaper and also 55 watts, only a single channel, but yet you can still do all the smart settings and you can update your firmware and all sorts of cool things, which is really nice, okay? This one's obviously fully charged. And so you can see it's gonna go in, it's balancing, but it balances on this side because there is no balance lead here, as you can see. Now, if you have a Gen 1 pack, that's a Gen 2 pack. This is Gen 1 pack, then you can use the balance lead, or you can omit the balance lead and charge here. But just so you know, the Gen 1 balancing circuit is a little bit inferior to the Gen 2 balance circuit. Remember that schmutz I was talking about that you get on there from the glue? That's on there. Alcohol, take that right off. Isopropyl alcohol. You can also use Kicker. Kicker will also break down that adhesive. Kicker or CA accelerant. All right, I'm excited to get this thing bound. So that's our next step in the radio setup. Now keep in mind, we've already got our center of gravity marked, but I didn't do one thing I normally do because I'm happy with the way things are. I know I want the battery in the center of the tray. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and mark this now. We'll lay this off to the side. This is a trick I learned a long time ago from myself. I was watching one of my videos. I'm just kidding. I'm sure somebody told me. We talk to a lot of people in this hobby.
Yeah.
And we try not to take credit where credit's not due when we come up with our own ideas and stuff like that. But to be honest with you guys, there's nothing new under the sun. Most of this stuff has already been done. There's new technology, don't get me wrong. There's new planes, but it's using a lot of the same technology. Check this out, okay? I'm gonna mark this right here. I'm actually gonna mark this. This is gonna be the tray, okay? So I made a T, okay, and it's gonna go that way. And then I'm gonna say 3200 right there, okay? That's where the 3200 is going to be, okay? And it's going to have an arrow going that way. So that tells me what direction I ran the battery line. Now, do you like how I have my hand right up in the prop? Okay, neither do I, but it is kind of the way it goes. You can have this battery out in a different spot if you want, but I'm going to just tell you this, guys. When you fly RC airplanes, there are risks in life, okay? You have to decide what you're willing to risk. Do you want to get cut? No. Do I want to get cut? No. Do I want you to get cut because of instruction I gave you? Absolutely not. So you have to weigh the risks for yourself. If something has gone awry, I don't want you to get cut. So please err on the side of taking off your prop if you're in any doubt. In the case that this would go, I can hold my hands like this. It looks worse on camera than it usually is in person, but I used to remember as a kid, I watched my dad starting an eagle. Or an eaglet, a sig eaglet. And I watched him starting with his finger and he never got cut, but every single time he did it, I was concerned he was gonna get cut. Okay, so I hated watching that part. And I still hate watching people hand start props because I'm like, that guy's gonna get sucked in. But guess what? When you're behind a prop and you got a plane and you're standing in front of the landing gear bogey and you've got access to the throttle and the richness levers and things like this, and you're starting an engine, that's the way you do it on a J3 Cub, unless you have an electric start, okay? So the reality is aviation is full of risks. RC aviation has a few risks. It's a lot less than full scale, you may have noticed. But just remember, respect full scale. Even though we love this hobby, there's real people in real planes, so always yield it right away. Okay, so you see this, it's not plugged in, but this is not ready to bind necessarily, is it? Well, we'll find out. I'll go ahead and pull this lid off just so you get to see inside. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get my hands in a safe spot. I've got this here, so if it were to start, worst case scenario, I gotta wait for a battery to die and not poop my drawers. And there's a good chance I would be doing both. So be very stinky, I'd have a nice breeze, okay? So this should not do anything, but I'm gonna still have my hands out of the way. Oh, those lights are awesome. I'm gonna get myself in a safe spot. I'm gonna secure the plane and I'm gonna wait until I'm totally comfortable. I'm gonna make sure nothing initiates that shouldn't. Okay. So far so good, it hasn't started. I'm gonna trust that it's not going to start. Now, you may notice that this transmitter's on and yet nothing is happening. That's totally fine, it's all part of the show. It's not in bind mode because I haven't pressed this bind button right there. Now it's in bind mode. I'm pretty confident it's not gonna start, but I still don't trust anything until I trust it. And so I'm gonna have my hand here and you're gonna watch over here. I'm gonna click, I'm gonna scroll down. I wanna secure this better. I'm gonna go to bind. Camera crew is gonna move her body in case something goes wrong. I'm gonna click bind. Listening. Throttle cut is on by watching and looking. Throttle's moved up and it didn't start, okay? I almost trust this plane. Now, I'm gonna put my hand in here, I'm gonna shut off the throttle cut and I'm gonna give it some throttle. Good? Throttle cut's on and it killed the throttle, perfect. I moved the throttle stick all the way up, all the way down. I now trust the plane, okay? The next time I plug it in, I don't have to be a big pansy. But the truth is I'm a pansy with non-sausaged hands, and I install my props 100% of the time, okay? I have been cut before by props, once. And it was on an ultra micro, and I was doing some crazy stuff. Okay, so this is here. It's in close proximity. I have control of the plane. We never set our timer, mostly because we probably aren't gonna set one, except we are. Let's set the timer. Clear, click. Let's go into timer. This will help us. I'm gonna do a 1 out active. 25% is our start time, or start percentage. At 1 minute, I want a voice. At 20, I want nothing. At 10, I want a voice. At expiration, I want tone and vibrate. And then I want a tone every minute thereafter. Walking out, we have that. Throttle cuts on. It will still start the timer because it's looking at the position of the stick, not the position of the receiver. I can clear and cancel by hitting back, okay? Beautiful lights, showing the lights.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I wish this didn't glow like that. If somebody was really motivated, they could take a screwdriver and undo those 2 screws. They could take this all off and they could take and flip it upside down and spray it with silver spray paint on the inside and then black, put it back in, and you would not glow, okay? That's gorgeous. Nice little, oh, do we have strobes? We have lights. They're flashing.
White strobes.
Those aren't
Solid,
strobes. Those are just like flashers. Still cool. Yeah. And I love the white tail light. Mm-hmm. That is really cool. It looks like, I just wonder if there's another channel that changes that. Is there a channel that changes that like we've had before?
See that in the manual.
I'm gonna grab my right knob and change the condition and just see. No. Let's look in the manual. You said you didn't see it?
Didn't see it.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about, like on the Draco.
Because we've seen that before, and this has that weird split out box thingy. We already talked about that briefly. Oh, look, here's the smart technology telemetry here, okay? So it shows you how to set up that stuff. 14 motor poles, let's set that up. Okay, so we scroll down to telemetry. Okay, where is that? Smart ESC.
Telemetry alarms.
Smart ESC. Smart ESC. Poles, 14. Boom. Okay, pretty cool. Low voltage alarm. Total cells, 6. Okay. Also, you can go to smart battery and you can turn this crap off because it's going to drive you nuts. Can you see okay? Mm-hmm. But what I want is I want the smart word. Yes, awesome. That's what I want. Because then the timer becomes, let's just call it irrelevant, because that's what it is. Doesn't matter how hard you fly or how soft you fly, you're always going to consume some power, but it's very nice to be able to trust it. Also, they say this in the manual, but just looking at the way these are lined up, not quite lined up, not quite lined up, because the flaps are maybe not in a perfect position yet. Let's see if that changes. Okay, so let's walk into the flap system menu.
I'm at 15% battery.
Throttle cuts off, throttle cuts on. Elevator, are you kidding me? Wow, that's huge. Roll left, roll right, good lordy. Yaw left, yaw right. Take off flaps, landing flaps. Okay, now real quick. I'm gonna actually, no, I really kind of want to reduce that a little bit so that it's like, you know, more like that. But I don't like that position, so I'm gonna go to servo setup, travel. I'm gonna go to flaps. And in this position, I wanna bring those all the way up to home. You guys see what I just did there? Mm-hmm. Now that's home, okay? That's 112. Wow. Take off flaps, landing flaps. Are we overdriving? No, we're not. We're not. Huh, okay. And they did cut a relief, so you could actually overdrive those a little bit more if you wanted. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them where they are. Okay, I don't wanna overdo it, but we did go to 115, which is unusual for a Spectrum setup. So now I'm gonna go back into flaps. For takeoff flaps, I'm gonna do minus 40, guys. Because I want less action in takeoff flaps and I want barn doors for landing, okay? Now, there's almost certainly a way to add some different things here if you wanna set up, you know, crow where the ailerons go up and things like this. The ailerons go up and they still act as ailerons. That's fine. I wanna also talk about this. Look at this, camera crew. This might need to come down just a hair. And if you were to do that, you'd undo this, spin it a couple of turns, and then snap it back on. But I think we're probably okay, so I'm not gonna mess with it. Now look at the elevator from your end. Does that look square? Mm-hmm. Sure does. Man, look at the control horns on here. Look how much reinforcement we have. Good lordy, lord. And that's a thick shaft too. Amazing. Steerable with a little bit of spring. Those springs are gonna get destroyed though, is my fear. Now, we're gonna come out of flaps. We need to check for thrust reverse, but in order to do that, we have to unplug the battery and plug it back in. Thrust reverse is going to be on channel, we've got it on like channel 9 or 4. Aux, no.
Aux 3 was right knob, so then aux 4 would be...
This was, no, it was aux 7. It's channel 7, aux 2. Okay, so we're gonna unplug the battery. We'll confirm that in a second, but opening this up, I need to unplug this. I trust my throttle cut now. So you can only enter this menu quickly when you first plug in, okay? So we're gonna energize the plane. I'm gonna quickly get my hands out of the way. I'm gonna listen. Okay, we're gonna go to the other side. One dance. That means AS3X is already active, okay? I'm gonna scroll all the way to the right. Low throttle, up elevator, left aileron. Now right aileron. Okay, cool. So now fixed wing, reverse. Oh, it's already on. They probably already turned it on. This would normally not be turned on by default. Brake force, or maybe it's already on by default. I don't know. Use this to go up and down. So they have it on channel 5. Are you kidding me? No, channel 7. I'm holding my wheel. Just so you guys can see, you can go up to channel 9. I'm gonna put it on channel 7. Oh wait, channel 5 would be gear. Mm-hmm. Is that what we did?
No, we did 7. We did flight modes on 9.
Okay, all right, so exit with save. Now it's arming. Hold that plane like you mean it. Throttle cut is on, verify, trust your plane. Okay, I trust it now. Throttle cut's on, throttle's up, everything's good. Okay, so now I can scroll off of that menu. I can go back to monitor, and then I can, throttle cut's on. Gear doesn't do anything now, but guess what does? Aux 2. That's switch G. Okay, I'm holding the plane, throttle cut's off. Forward, and watch what happens. We got reverse thrust, guys. There's forward thrust. Throttle cuts on, sticks down. Okay? That means whatever this condition is, we want it to be forward. This is a preference thing now. So I'm gonna click, I'm gonna scroll down to digital switch setup. I already knew this, but I'm just gonna show you how to do it. Switch G. So we want minus 100 up at the top. So that's position 0. Whoops. See how it's switched to switch E? Highlight that, switch G. See how it says switch E? I don't know why it's switched. That was weird. Okay, so now here,
Wait,
watch.
I want that on G.
I want that on G, correct.
Not
There's G. Sorry, guys. So I'm gonna set this to minus 100. Once we get to minus 100, we're gonna set the other two to plus 100. I don't wanna be in the middle because you don't know for sure what's gonna get latched onto, and that could create a dangerous condition, so do not leave it. Don't just reverse the switch, because then that middle is gonna be floating in the center. Okay, so we're setting this to 100. How are we doing on battery there, camera crew?
about 10 minutes max.
Okay. Do you see how aux 2 and aux 3 are changing? Why is that changing?
Why is aux 3 changing?
Oh. Yeah, why is that? Maybe it was just in my head. That's the middle. Yeah, okay. All right, so aux 3 is fine. So we changed digital switch setup for switch G. Now I'm just for grins because this one got changed just a little bit. I do not want that changed. Okay, so now we're back to switch G. That's gonna be, see how box goes around where it is? The box goes around where it is. That's position 2. So position 2 is pulled towards you. You're like, well, it's not marked. Yeah, it is. It's right here. So position 0 is forward, position 1, and then position 2 on switch G. Okay, so now we should be in thrust reverse. I'm holding my landing gear. Give it some thrust reverse. Okay, I'm gonna point. I'm gonna just reposition the plane so you guys can see my plants move. Okay, so a little hurricane. The middle setting, same thing. Controllable thrust reverse, and then forward thrust. And yeah, that's definitely blowing at me. Throttle cuts on, everything's tested. So now we have thrust reverse set up. We have flaps set up. We have AS3X is already on this plane, but it might have been because of the product development team turning it on. So I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. So we'll exit out of that menu. We're done with that. Flap system, that's already set. And then I'm gonna go into forward programming. Gyro settings, save select. Okay, so it's on mode 3. See how it's not changing? That's because we wanna change this to whatever D is set to. Well, D is set to aux 4 in this case. If you don't know how to do it, you can also set it to the condition of the switch, but not on this evidently. So it's gonna automatically populate when you exercise the switch. Okay, so now you see that's coming alive, so you can see the change in state.
AS3X mode.
Okay. And you have to turn this on to get all 3 unlocked. Now safe is on, and it happens to be on for aux 4. Now it's off. Now it's on because it's trying to level the aircraft, okay? So, off. I want to turn AS3X off in that mode.
Safe mode.
And so you're seeing it's kind of backward now, huh? Because you can't change that. Why not? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we have to exit and exit and exit. And then go to servo setup, travel, and we're just gonna switch the direction of aux 4 in this case. Now you could use gear if you want, or you could use gear for thrust reverse or whatever. I don't care how you set it up. Just use the available channels you've got.
8,
Okay.
7.
Now she's counting, I'm gonna clear her off.
AS3X mode. Off. AS3X
Working. And also, you can tell it's safe mode because look at the elevator. The elevator is trying to level the aircraft, okay? Now it's trying to level the aircraft by pulling the tail up, okay? Throttle cut is on, and I'm in safe. Now, the other thing you can do to test safe is you can hold your sticks in normal mode or off, AS3X mode, stabilized mode, or off, nothing changes, but then watch safe. Limited bank angles and pitch angles are also going to show up there so you can see it. Now I'm in safe, throttle cut is on, so I'm safe to pick up the plane because I have to kind of, you know, get in here right next to the prop. Now look at the ailerons. As I flip this plane upside down, it's gonna attempt to auto level and it's gonna find the quickest route, okay? Now, as I go downhill, the elevator is going to attempt to level the craft until it's level, okay? Pretty cool. All right, so we'll lay that back down on the table, or the counter in this case. And we're gonna jump back into forward programming and show you one more setting that you might need. So we're gonna click and scroll down to forward programming. We're gonna jump into the menu, gyro settings, save select, okay? So look at that. If you want more settings, yours is probably going to come with new firmware. Mine did not. As a result, I would have to actually reset the firmware on this receiver using the cable. Oh, puke. You guys hopefully won't have to do that. So if you look right here, in order to do that, if yours may come that way, but I doubt it, you would plug into this program bind cable here. And it is a special tool that I'll just show you real quick. This tool is, where is that tool? It's right here. Look at that. So this tool is something we've used a number of times. And this is it. And it's a USB cable that plugs into a PC. And mine actually pulled out, and that's it. So you use that to program the receiver.
3 minutes.
And then once the receiver is programmed, then you can actually do all that stuff from factory defaults. Now, I don't want to do that on this model because I'm totally satisfied with the way they've set it up, and I'm going to go with it. Now, also because it's a product development sample, yours will be new and it should have all the latest and greatest installed. But since I'm not seeing your plane, I can't say that for certain. I'm assuming that's going to be true. Okay, so in closing, before this video runs out of memory on us, I am super excited to fly this plane. It's going to be amazing. And by the way, that is a TA. That is a TA in there. So what TA means is that you have every function but barometer, okay? So you can't do the boop, 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 beep, beep, beep. And it's also slightly cheaper. That's what they'll put in a lot of bind and flies, but sometimes they have the full T for telemetry. So when you wanna play with telemetry stuff, now you can click and scroll down and go into telemetry and you can change stuff if you want. But as far as I'm concerned, this thing is ready to rock and roll. I've got safe, I got AS3X, I've got a timer set, I've got throttle cut set. Everything is ready to rock and roll up to and including thrust reverse. And I am super, super, super excited to see this thing fly. It's gonna be amazing. And I can't wait for you guys to share in the experience with us. If you wanna help support Brian Phillips RC and what we do for the RC hobby, that's what it is. Look no further than the links in the video description below. You can buy these amazing planes, whether it's this plane or the Carbon ZT28 or some other plane that you've seen in this room or that we've done in the past. You can check out brianphillipsrc.com and you can see planes sorted by type, size, class, all that stuff, okay? We have that stuff ready for you so you can look and you can find it. And then there's links to buy there too. If you want to support us in other ways, we have Patreon, that's monthly support, YouTube Super Thanks, which is a one-time donation, PayPal for one-time donations, and then YouTube members for monthly support as well. But we still want you to divert, if we have our way, you're gonna divert your resources, if you wanna support us financially, into buying planes. And then we get paid from these guys with small commissions that we earn through the sales that happen there. Now, just so you know, that does not taint our opinion of a particular product. We don't care which one you get. We never have, never will. This doesn't taint our image of a particular product. It doesn't shape the way we feel about it. All that happens is that we want you guys to support us when you buy products, whether it's this or it's a competitive offering sitting over here, or it's a helicopter or VTOL, something you've seen in the past. It doesn't make a difference to us which product you choose. We just want you guys involved in the hobby flying, whether it's getting something like this or a battery or a receiver, or maybe a plug-in fly model or plug-and-play model. Maybe it's a car or truck. Those are easy ways you can support us without actually going out of your way to do like a Patreon or a PayPal donation, things like that. But some people just insist on doing it. So for years I said no, and the camera crew talked me into it finally. And admittedly, there's quite a few of you that support us in that way. And we appreciate it, but we still love the concept of you guys flying, enjoying the stuff that we do review on this channel. Because we review a lot on this channel and we love doing it. But at the end of the day, that's one of the easiest ways to support us. Also, smash the like button, click the bell for notifications when you do subscribe, because when you subscribe, you'll see notifications then when new content comes out, which is sometimes a couple times a week, and sometimes it's a little bit more than that. But here on Brian Phillips RC, we've always got something right around the corner, and we really appreciate you being here with us, especially you guys that watch the whole video. So if you're watching the whole video, leave it in the comments below. It's very good for us to see the feedback when you guys do actually watch the whole videos, because it's unusual that people watch the whole video. Even though we have some of the best products here from E-flite and some other competitive brands, admittedly, we understand that our content is long and not everybody is gonna have that much time to watch the whole thing. You might scroll in, try to find what you need and then get out. And we get that. And that's the way it's gonna be for most people once they've learned how to use one of these tools and then how to put these things together. They're a little bit different each time, but it's not hard. And we wanna help you guys get there. So guys, thanks so much for being part of the Brian Phillips RC experience here. And we know that when you need help, you're gonna come back and we're here for you. So hopefully we saw you at NAL or we're seeing you at NAL. You guys should be seeing this right before we head out. And we're gonna be there on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. Our flights leave on Saturday and we get there on Tuesday. We might be there Tuesday night, but we're not sure yet. So NAL at Triple Tree in South Carolina, we're excited to see you there. If you wanna meet us and you want us to fly one of your airplanes, hit us up in an email in the About tab and we will coordinate. So can't wait to see you there. And guys, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. We'll do our best to get to them, but we don't get to 100% of them. Just know that we care about you and we will see you guys. And Patreon is a good way to get a hold of us for comments if you want that little detail. All right, guys, the Super Timber 1.7 from E-flite. Amazing product, absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to get your hands on one. If you do order through the links, guys, they're coming soon. And EU link, it's gonna be a little bit later in the season, so just so you know. But if you're ordering in the States, should be really soon. And tons of lights, can't wait to see it. It's gonna be a blast. Stay tuned. If you're looking for the flight, it published right before this, so stay tuned, check it out. The playlist should populate anytime soon, so just click that. Thanks for watching, come back for more.